Welcome to the first Cirak Live of this year. Not that time is that important. In fact, most of the uses of time are to create rush and stress, timelines. Where are we at what stage of life? We use that to criticize ourselves, to have to be more perfect, or that things are not going according to plan. But with awareness, everything diffuses its charge, its heaviness, and you can just see it for what it is, which is a means for organizational, practical matters. That's part of being in this physical dimension, being in this body. But from that perspective, time no longer has us in its grip, no longer controls how we feel. We'll talk more about how to move into the new year. Today's topic is affirmations and manifestations. But before we do that, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the upcoming retreat. I've been getting more messages coming through in anticipation. Some of you, I see the names, are already signed up, and others want a little more nudge at what they would expect. This is a wonderful, well-rounded retreat. It's not your usual meditation-only retreat. First of all, the nature here in India, in Pyramid Valley, is stunning. The setting is nestled away from all the busyness, and the energy has built up from many thousands of people coming through and wanting to spend time in reflection and stillness, reverence, taking in the energies and the powers that especially the main pyramid attracts. There's an energy vortex that is tangible, can be felt. But really, it's just the entire location. Much of the retreat is spent outdoors in the coconut grove. Every day starts with a qigong session that I will personally lead, and that is followed by nutritious breakfast, and all the nutrition is based on body type during the retreat, which, as far as I know, is a first, so that you actually eat consciously as well, not just work on spiritual practice. We also have conscious movement alongside a lake, the Gandhi Lake, which has a beautiful green flat area next to it. The setting couldn't be more peaceful and serene and connected to the earth. And all of this is done in noble silence. So we spend every morning from wake up gong at 6 a.m. till lunchtime at noon in stillness and silence. Some directions, of course, that we provided along. If you have any concerns or questions, you can always talk to one of the volunteers or any one of us. But the point is to spend time in stillness. And stillness is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of the layer of consciousness that everything arises from. So everything arises from this foundation of stillness and then dissolves again back into it. When you learn to live from that place, when you start listening for the silence, the gaps between the noisiness, then you can maintain your connection to it. You can maintain your presence with source connectedness, with a source-led life, because you never let go of that quiet, that stillness, long enough to lose track and get off track. So we're going to learn how to continuously do that for the 5 days, and even more, we're going to practice an energy healing technique. It's based in the Vipassana foundation, ancient meditation practice, in which you learn to observe your sensations, observe and recognize that we never react to the world around us. We actually react to our feelings about the world around us. And those feelings are based on conditioned programmed, inherited beliefs. So we're going to unravel all of that in the course of those 5 days, and you'll walk home with a practice that anytime you feel triggered, you're able to handle it, you're able to sit with it and dissolve it, and maybe even on the fly, let it arise and pass while remaining equanimous so that you can take clear and level-headed action, so you can stay focused on what the situation wants from you, your higher self. So that's the start of every day is a deep internal practice in stillness and releasing anything that's holding us back, limiting beliefs, stuck energy, and so forth. Now, once we get into lunch, then noble silence is lifted, and that's when you can chat and share, and our mobile devices, you can use them consciously, get the message out in the world of what's happening here. But it's all very transformative. The workshops that follow in the afternoon, we've got some amazing guest speakers. So besides my own lectures, as you may have experienced in various places, we also have other spiritual teachers. We have a very close friend of mine who travels the world teaching people how to write love letters. He'll be doing a workshop. We also have a world record holder in clairvoyance, rollerblading with blindfold, just navigating from the third eye. It's a 9-year-old girl, and she's really wonderful. So we have many different activities, walking meditations, a lot of communal time around lunches and dinners and breakfast, and time to spend in space and to go out into nature. Most of the time is spent really being in connection with this magical place, which I come to as often as I can, just even for my own purposes, my own continuous connection and development. Yes, so at the end of the day, there's a question regarding Q&A. At the end of each day, there's a fireside chat, which will be sharing circle, which will be Q&A with myself and some of the guest speakers. It's where you can process the day, get any questions out of the way. And it's really a free form, unstructured conversation, letting it turn into what it wants. And everyone is encouraged to really reflect and share in a safe space, because that's what we're missing most of the time when we're not at retreats like this, is having a safe space to be around like-minded people where we don't have to wear our social masks and pretend and perform, but we can actually just let ourselves be. And having an extended period of letting ourselves be like this will bring change, positive change, beautiful change into your life. It has to, because you're inviting the greater wisdom, the vast lightness that is out there, and that's only waiting to be let in. So many times we talk about our spiritual practice as an unlearning because of that very reason. So any other questions you have regarding the retreat, of course, you can post. You can reach out to any of the team members via social channels, WhatsApp channels. And I'll be posting, as we move closer, some pictures, get everyone excited. Also have a WhatsApp group forming of all attendees, and start taking the nutrition quiz and travel arrangements and so forth. So really looking forward to seeing everyone there. Moving on from that, head over to our topic of the day, which is manifestation affirmations. This is a fascinating topic. In fact, we have a whole workshop dedicated to manifestation during the retreat. We'll cover some of that now. The one misconception about manifestation is that it's a different state, an altered state, something we do when we want something we want to have happen. That's not actually foundationally what manifestation is. Foundationally, manifestation is something we're always doing. We're always manifesting. We're never not manifesting. The only difference is we can manifest from one of two places: from line patterns, unconscious beliefs, most of which we've just inherited, that have been imprinted on us by our upbringing, by our education, by our society, by the generations that didn't process these things, and it was just passed along and passed along. And now here we are, one day in one lifetime, and having to contend with why we are a certain way, why we have certain behaviors. So if we're manifesting from these blind patterns, lack, fear, control, jealousy, anger, expectations, just wanting to resist life in the way it is happening because we want it to happen our way, then we manifest a life that is full of struggle. It's full of that very same lack, fear, and control. And it's just a reflection. And we're just not aware because we haven't shone the light of our consciousness onto those subconscious patterns. So that's one form of manifestation. Everyone does that. The beautiful part there is that when you do manifest whatever reality and you don't like it, it triggers you back in the very same way that then teaches you to look at why you feel triggered and what might be blindly causing these patterns. So it's kind of a cyclical nature, life, and how it wants you to come out of that stuckness, out of the blindness. So everything is so simple, really. We're always here to learn and grow and be students, become more self-aware. So the other side of manifestation is not the blind side, but the conscious side, the seeing side, the aware side. So when you now start manifesting from awareness, several things happen. First, your life simplifies. We really need very little to be alive, functioning, and seeing, and not distracted. Most of the things that we have, the stuff that we own, the achievements that we chase, ultimately distract us. And you could very well live without them if you're losing yourselves in those constantly. And you naturally learn that, of course. Whenever you achieve something and you put so much effort, hope, and planning into it, and the expectation grows that the day when you get there, that you'll finally be happy and life will stand still. And of course, you get there and that's not the case. The pleasure from achieving something fades very quickly. It never really lives up to the expectations, especially because we tend to sacrifice on the way there our happiness, our joy of the present moment. So we learn either way that constantly living for the future, thinking we know today what will make us happy tomorrow, is an illusion. And again, this is what this retreat will be all about. It's the end of that illusion, bringing more awareness in so that we manifest from things that resonate, things that we feel in our body, a felt truth, not a mental knowing, not an aspect of fear or lack of control, but rather peace, acceptance, surrender, a letting yourself be. The mind thinks that acceptance and surrender is giving up or letting life trample all over us, and nothing could be farther from the truth. In fact, when you try it on a few little things, that's what I always recommend, is don't try to accept big things that seem overwhelming. Start with little weights, like going to the gym first time. And try to accept something that is mildly annoying, that you may not like about your life or about yourself, and work on the sensation of that. So this is the key to acceptance, the key to getting yourself clear so that you can manifest from a conscious place. So acceptance is not a mental activity. It's not mental acrobatics of trying to reframe something and look at it differently, but rather it's to accept how you feel about something. That's what acceptance is. This is how I feel. This is how my feelings show up in my body. I can feel them in my stomach, perhaps. Solar plexus, grief is in the lungs, and anxiety in the chest, heartache in the heart. We feel pressure in our shoulders. We carry a weight, constriction in our throat, and tightness in our jaw. Our upper and lower back might be hurting from carrying all this energetic pressure. So becoming more aware of those sensations so that they no longer blindly direct our behavior. That is key to freeing ourselves from the repetition of blind patterns. If you find yourself in relationships that after a while always wind up the same, if you find yourself even after moving somewhere, it always winds up feeling the same, taking on a new job, and after a while it just feels the same. These are all symptoms, signals that we're living from blind patterns. And nothing will change. You can want it as much as you want, but you have to do the inner work to release the stuck energy that is underlying those blind patterns. Again, this is what spiritual practice is about. It's not about becoming enlightened. That's more of a byproduct of learning to be here now. Accept yourself as you are. And as you practice that, you very quickly start to notice that acceptance, contrary to what the mind thinks, moves you forward. So accepting something, okay, this is my life situation currently, takes you out of resistance, meaning you're no longer entangled with it, you're no longer stuck because you're resisting and fighting it, but rather you've released, you've let go, so that your being, your energy field can move forward. And you feel that right away. As soon as you make peace with the situation, you can breathe more lightly, the weight is off your shoulders, you feel better in your body, your whole being improves, your outlook improves, you start moving forward automatically. Forward momentum is our natural state, in fact. And it's only when we try to hold on to things, make life stand still, that we're going against nature. And when we go against nature, that's when we start to suffer. So all of this depression, misery, and small outlook, and unhappiness, lack of fulfillment and purpose, it's not because it's not there, but because we're holding ourselves separate from it. We hold ourselves separate from it by living in our head, by trying to control things, by resisting what has happened. No situation that has ever happened has changed. It's resisting it. Many of these things are very logical, very understandable. It's just a question of taking time and putting in the work to generate, build your awareness muscle around these things. So then when something manifests in the future, you immediately recognize, oh, what is that about me? It says, what am I harboring underneath this that I've been avoiding, that I haven't looked at, I wasn't aware of? It's never random what happens around us. Life isn't a random blob. We are not a random blob of cells. The miracle of trillions of cells working together in unison to form you, to make you who you are, to give you your personality, your feelings, your character traits, and your journey. They accompany us. They are here to shape us along our path. And that's just a miraculous thing. So, manifesting either from lack, fear, and control, blind subconscious, or manifesting from acceptance, allowing, inviting, curiosity, wonder. Those are the basically the two options we have. One is what we get indoctrinated in, to our environment, education, and society, and so forth. That's unfortunately the majority of the world is stuck in that place. It's okay. The suffering will push all of us out of it. But in the meantime, if we have some insight, a glimmer or more of that there's a better way, a more natural, intentional way of living, then we can do something about that. And the most important piece there is to find at least a few like-minded, so you have a little community, so you don't feel so alone, because it can feel really alone out there. It's gotten a lot better over time. Even the word manifestation, I remember when you couldn't mention that in most places, and you'd just be looked at weirdly or laughed at, and that's no longer the case. So there is a greater consciousness, or at least acceptance of different lifestyles that is arising. But still, when we're really committed and living by conscience, by higher self, by inner truth, that requires speaking up even when it's uncomfortable. That means saying yes when we mean yes, not when deep down we know we actually mean no. So there's a certain kind of alignment, you can call it courage, that is required to stand in your truth. And that can only improve when we practice it. It's best to practice in a safe environment, like a retreat, a nearby center. But ultimately, every moment of the day is an opportunity to practice mindfulness, to practice presence, to practice connecting with the energy of the moment. It's too easy to get caught up on the contents of the moment, your circumstances in the physical dimension, thinking that that's what's real and there's nothing else. What we see is just a reflection of who we are and all the finished and the unfinished aspects of who we are. So the real reality is just a mirror, and it's here to teach us. In every moment, even if it's just for a few seconds, sitting in a car in traffic, sitting in a meeting that somebody's late to and you're waiting, projector breaks, you're at an elevator, waiting in line for your coffee at the supermarket. There's so many opportunities to feel the moment, to notice the energy of what is happening right now. It's never the same. No two moments are ever alike, which is why you can plan and try and predict and prepare as much as you want. When the reality of a new moment comes along, it will always feel different. It's because it is different. It is new. It is fresh. It's not based on the past. It's not based on your knowledge or what you already believe in. It is a accumulation and a moment of the vast energies of creativity that are at play. And there's no more potent place, no more important place than to be present with that. To be part of the unfolding, not to be trying to resist it or even create your own, but rather to be there. It's already there. You don't have to invent life. You don't have to invent our life. It will unfold naturally on its own if we just participate, if we show up and respond to what's there. If we have expectations, possibly that's just human, but just notice it, stay in your awareness. Noticing will always keep you on the side of awareness. And from that perspective, nothing can get to us. Nothing has power over us. It's because we're not giving our power away when we're aware of something. With awareness, we can choose what to give our attention to. And that's a very different experience than just blindly reacting to every thought that comes along. It's a very different trajectory that your life takes when you have even just a little more, 5%, 10% more awareness than before, so that you can catch yourself sooner when your mind drifts, that you can notice sooner the symptoms of being stuck in the head, feeling blocked, having other forms of procrastination, boredom, perfectionism, all of these behaviors that we think we're not perfect, that there's something wrong with us. With awareness, you can recognize those are signals to look deeper, to look what's underneath, what's actually happening beyond the mind's interpretation. The mind loves to interpret things in a fearful way, in a scarcity consciousness kind of way. With awareness, you can notice those thoughts. They may still come along, that's okay. But when you have a choice whether to attach yourself to them, whether to give your attention to them, then you're actually free. Then you're not just at the whim, at the mercy of whatever idea comes along, whatever thought comes along that tells you you're not good enough, that you have to try harder, or that you're a problem to fix. These are just abstract figments of our mind chatter. None of it is true unless you make it true, unless you believe, unless you identify with those thoughts. It's not true. So awareness fundamentally is a healing quality. It's a state of choosing what energies to engage with, both in our own thoughts, also around us, what people to have in our environment, to steer clear of toxic environments, surround ourselves with uplifting, equal or uplifting or elevating people, places, and things. So, on the topic of affirmations, it's similar to manifestation in the sense that even your affirmations can only be a reflection of who you currently are. Are you more conscious or less conscious? More aware, less aware? Are you really identified with your thoughts, or do you have some freedom to choose which ones to engage with? So those are essentially the two states that we can operate from: mind identification and what I call God consciousness. And it's a question of degrees. It's not that we're either completely conscious or unconscious. It's always a question of degrees. Life is a continuous evolution, like different states. But for the sake of discussion and the sake of reflection, this is what many of my books are about, is to be able to look at your life circumstance and or decision you've made currently, and notice whether that came more from fear, lack of control, a sense of trying to predict the future, a sense of not good enough, I need to prove myself, I need to please others. These are all mind identification symptoms. Or are we acting from an idea that came to us, that arose from presence, from being a participant in the situation, from allowing things to be as they are, from not getting ahead of ourselves, from just being full of gratitude and kindness and acknowledging, holding space for our flaws, other people's flaws, and their virtues, our virtues, recognizing that there's the human, the little human, that is navigating this physical world, but that there's a higher consciousness that is supreme to this little human. And living from the higher consciousness, you then can direct your human self in a much more efficient, productive, enlivening kind of way. Sometimes I get looks when I say life and mindfulness and meditation are not about becoming enlightened. It's about making better decisions now, keeping a clear head now, staying out of trouble now, learning one's lessons sooner, really just accepting that we're here to be students of life. And that's, as mentioned, a very different life experience that flows from that higher awareness. If we're stuck in the little human self, then we're just full of anxiety, fear, and pain and trauma. And that's okay too. Again, most of it isn't actually ours. And we're here to heal not just ourselves, but heal each other, heal those that came before us that didn't get a chance to dissolve things and work out things. So sometimes it feels like we're a black sheep. To be so fortunate to be in a position to deal with consciousness and greater awareness as a central theme in our lives. But ultimately, that's an honor. The buck stops here. We do the work, and the blind patterns stop. And in their place, there arises a lightness, a flow, an ease, a energy, high frequency that you bring into life and into the life of others, and healing them, and like a spark that just jumps from one person to the next, the light of awareness starts to spread. It's contagious. And stillness is a big, big part of that. So making time throughout the day, or like I said, at a retreat once or twice a year, to reinforce that quiet stillness. So much of our journey is about remembering, about reminding ourselves, come back to the basics, back to simplicity that is at the core of happiness. That many of the things, if you've done a retreat or two already, you come home and you just want to shed and release and let go of that old shell, clear out the attic and the stuff that's been holding on to old energy, it's weighing us down. We become aware of those things. And with greater awareness, you just simplify and align and streamline your life, so you're no longer wasting as much time and energy on distractions and coping mechanisms, but rather on purpose, on meaning, on living a connected, divinely inspired, source-led life. And that's how life changes into something very different. So I'm going to look, see if there's any questions before we go into our ending, closing meditation. Said as many times before, meditation is a natural state. It's not necessarily a separate activity. In the beginning, it might be. That's okay. It was for me too. Ultimately, recognizing that life is meant to be lived in flow, connection to stillness, from awareness of oneself, of one's human self, the little human that will always feel challenged and by the world and have flaws, successes and failures and so forth. It's okay. It's part of the human experience. But when we're in our awareness, then that doesn't consume us. That's the important part. All right. So with that said, we're going to do the most powerful and the most effective meditation that I know of, that many others talk about. Anapanasati, which means breath. It's one of the most fundamental and ancient meditations. And breath is always there. It's one of the few things that is both autonomous on its own and that you can also control. So it presents this beautiful medium in which we can learn to focus our attention, notice the drifting mind, and then practice acceptance when we find that the mind has drifted. So I'm going to guide you through it. That's exactly what we're going to do. Whenever you notice that your mind has drifted, there's a crucial point there. You might find yourself reacting with frustration. Why can't I keep my mind focused on something as basic as my breath? That's okay. Everyone starts out that way. But in that moment, you have a choice. You can practice accepting my mind has wandered. Now I'm going to take action, which is to bring my attention back to the breath. Or you might find yourself reacting almost instinctively. Why is my mind all over the place? This monkey mind that I've been living from, making decisions with. This is shocking to see how noisy it is, how busy it is, how it can't stand still, how it can't even stay focused for more than a few seconds. Taking that in, that when it's your first time, it can be shocking. I know it was for me. So in this exercise, just do your best. These are incremental changes. You'll get lost in thought less long, and you find yourself coming out of it sooner. And that might just be a second or two improvement here and there, but it's improvement. And before long, you're not lost for 5 minutes, but 4.5, and then 4, and 3.5, and so on. And however long it may take to get there, you're getting real time back. You're gaining present time, lifetime back. The less you're lost in thought, the less reactive we are, the longer we stay clear in our minds, that we actually can be here and engage with what's in front of us. So, finding a comfortable position. Bones stacked, spine straight. And with your eyes, mouth closed, focus all your attention on the incoming and outgoing breath at the entrance of your nostrils. There's a sensitive area there, below the nostrils and above the upper lip, where you can feel the touch of the air passing. If you have trouble locating your breath, you may breathe slightly harder once or twice. And once you feel the touch of your breath, return to natural breath. Normal breath. Let the detail of your breath pull you in closer. Closer into the present moment. If your breath is shallow, let it be shallow. If your breath is deep, let it be deep. If it's more in the left nostril, let it be the left nostril. If it's more in the right nostril, let it be the right nostril. Or if it's in both nostrils, let it be both. Notice the temperature of the incoming breath. Notice the temperature of the outgoing breath. And notice if there's a difference. Notice the pace of the incoming breath. Notice the pace of the outgoing breath. And notice if there's a difference. Notice the length of the incoming breath. Notice the length of the outgoing breath. And notice if there's a difference. Notice the pause at the end of your inhale. Notice the pause at the end of your exhale. And notice if there's a difference. Whenever you find that your mind has wandered, simply notice it. And without frustration, without dismay, but with full acceptance, bring your attention back to the incoming and outgoing breath at the entrance of your nostrils. Natural breath. Normal breath. Observe your breath as it is, without wanting it to be different. And whenever you're ready, bring your attention back to the room that you're in, surface that you're on, the clothes that you're wearing, and gently blinking open your eyes, looking around, noticing fidelity of your senses, noticing your peace, your presence, and your stillness. Stillness is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of consciousness, unconsciousness. Hmm. Hmm. Just a few little breaks now and then throughout the day is enough to keep the light of consciousness flowing into and through us. Thank you for attending today's live. Always a pleasure being here. And I thank you for your choice to be here tonight, wherever you are. See you next time.